business overview, the technology assessment, and all that.
Yep.
I had asked ChatGPT to organize my notes by those categories.
Yep.
And then, so I'm not too familiar with the Affinity map. So
Okay.
with the Affinity map, I basically just took my notes and just gave it a visual. And so each of those initial questions that you had, I made those the titles of the Affinity map. And then everything that I put for each section.
Quick question. Can you share your screen?
Let me know if you can see it.
I can see it.
All right, so these are the notes, right? So I was just watching the video, listening to all of it, and then wrote down the first questions that you asked in the beginning, like the main questions, and then just like trying to take as many notes as I could throughout the meeting. But when I put it into ChatGPT, when I put it in those categories, I came back into this text document and then color coordinated each of those sections so I can make the Affinity map. And so the Affinity map is basically each of those titles, right, are at the top. And then each sticky note, I categorize them with the bolded title and then the context of that title. In my notes, I'll show you the notes here. So it would start off with business name or owner's name, and then the second sticky note, access performance. Yeah, like the current tools was one, and then I put each tool that he mentioned that he uses, the technology related challenges, social media presence.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, it took me a while. It took me a while to get that. Okay, I see what you're doing.
And I'm still learning how to talk about it. So
no, it's fine. It's fine. Oh no, you're good. So yeah, can you zoom in on that technology assessment one really quick? Okay, I just want to make sure before I say anything. You got the current tools, and then you're going that way. Then you have technology related challenges. So you're going that way. Can you scroll over to a new customer journey, visualizing customer?
Well, I guess these are, let me show you ones with more. Yeah, like this one.
Yeah, let me see.
So they're all numbered.
And
then I guess the rest of the notes for each title.
I see. Okay, so this is how you are grouping them.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay, yeah, that's definitely a way. The cool thing about this, your design process does not have to look anything like anyone else's. But what's important though is making sure that the audience you're speaking to understands your story and your narrative that you're telling here. This is you taking your notes from that Word document effectively and then putting them into a visual space.
Yeah.
This is okay. So this is an Affinity map, basically. This is what this is.
Okay. Because some of the examples I saw on mine, like the titles of each I guess grouping was way different. It almost looked like a journey map, and even the samples that you had in the toolkit was I don't know, it was like some type of work or something, like community work, authenticating work. So I didn't really know how to categorize it. So I kind of just defaulted into giving the notes a visual.
I don't think there's anything wrong with what you did, because typically what you would do is it'd be a bunch of us doing basically that, just writing, taking notes, putting them on stickies and placing them there. And then as a group, we would go through and try and group each comment together that are similar. Okay, these three seem to be talking about password related, so we're gonna put password, right? So it can be whole sentences, it can be one or two words. Like, you're not going to see a one-to-one on how people group or theme the comments.
Okay.
So what you did, this is what you did. Like, you went in and you named these. You took notes based off of the concept or the context, and you grouped it. And so you have what you have here. I think what you did was fine.
Oh, it was off of these notes. This is
Mhm.
where I categorize them. So like the brand philosophy, but these were my notes from ChatGPT after it categorized it.
Got you. Okay, so yeah, you plugged your notes into ChatGPT, and then this is with the prompt, and then this is what you got in return.
Yeah, yeah.
Got
And then I looked through it to make sure I didn't miss out any details.
you.
And then because it did leave out some details, so I just came back and added them.
Right.
Um, kind of just started here with the bold names, and then in the toolkit, I just elaborated on each
Mhm.
one.
This is good stuff, man. Let me share my screen and kind of show you what I got going on. You can kind of pick up and mimic and adjust from there. But so essentially, I ended up having a session with Mike, and I'm gonna go through some of the stuff I showed him.
And
Actually,
that call was super helpful also.
yeah, it was.
Listening to the interview.
Yes.
Because I mean, hearing you explain it to somebody who doesn't know this,
Hmm.
I think it helped me out a lot in understanding it.
Every client, that I get going to be recording the session, so that way they serve as a reference point. And then, but it's purely that, it's a reference point. You'll develop your own style after, listening and learning and stuff like that, but it serves as sort of like a template, like, all right, here's how I do it. And then if I have any other questions, I just reach out to them like, hey, I've been mulling over these 2 questions right here. When you get a chance, can you answer these for me? And then going about, you got other stuff to do. You got research, inspiration to gather, or going down the activities list of creating information architecture, site maps, diagrams, all that stuff. So you got a lot of little ways before you get to mocking things up anyways, but that all can depending on if you have a design system. So
Mhm.
let me open up Voiceflow, walk you through some things. So part of my trademark on how I deal with my clients is I do not really believe in pulling the Wizard of Oz trick where, you're not truthful about how the thing works.
Yeah.
So I tend to give them, literally behind the scenes into the tools that I'm using. Because one of the things I offer from a clientele perspective, I offer to build this for you and
Mhm.
then hand it off to you, or I can partner with you and carry on the duties of building, maintaining, and updating the solution for you for a longer term. In the former option, basically what I do is I do screen recordings of me updating, building. So that way they serve that as a reference point. So they know if they need to edit anything, okay, just go back to the video. Like I give people sort of like a course or a curriculum on how to manage, update their solution. And
Mhm.
then they have that video that they can reference, or we can turn that into standard operating procedures that then can be used as structured data to power our chatbot. I showed him the chatbot that we're building for him for Access Performance. This is going to be embedded onto the website and serves as like a lead capture, but also scheduler
Mhm.
for his in-person consultations. As we mentioned before, he's creating this, or he's launched this brand called Access Performance. It's a fitness brand inspired by luxury chain gyms like Equinox, Lifetime Fitness, things like that. He's basically works on a few pillars. It's personal lifestyle training, where he fits fitness into your lifestyle, and then based on your goals, he works from a 360 view, starting with your gut health, working outward to your appearance. His clientele is mostly high net worth men and women in their mid 30s to early 60s. But what he's also wanting to do is he's trying to make fitness a little more accessible. So he has two aspirations. One, he has this mobile training facility that he can bring his services to his clients. And then he also wants to help aspiring personal trainers become a brand. So be a fitness trainer, but also an entrepreneur. So learning the business side of becoming a trainer and launching your own brand and how to scale that. He wants to create a training program powered by a community creation platform. So these are these are phases of things that he wants, but his immediate one is a website, and then we're going to automate his back end procedures, and then have a lead generation chatbot. So that's what we're building here. I'm going to give you a copy of this document. So it's the proposal. I won't go through it. You can go through and read it, but the most important really is seeing the customer journey. My version of it, try to make things simple, people understand. And so the opportunity areas, and these are the solutions that we're offering essentially to help throughout the customer's journey, from someone who was referred to actually onboarding for a 1-year personalized fitness program, a nutrition program, a recovery program. So that's the customer journey here. And then here's some of his brand assets, the brand questions. So you already did yourself a good job already. Don't ruin the flow. This stuff is a reference. You can lay it out however you see fit. These are inspirational pages. This is the inspiration where I drew from. I'm needing to label a little bit more, but what you're seeing here is essentially, it's kind of like my mood board or some website layout treatments that I wanted to use for this Axis performance that I think fit the aesthetic and fit the brand of the brand. So this one here is called Department. I like their homepage. There are certain sections I liked about it. This was a scrolling marquee of the logo wall right here. So I like that. This was a carousel. I caught it when it wasn't fully loaded, but you can see what it fully looks like loaded here. But this is a carousel, so I can click through, tab through here. This is the About Us page for this same site. So I liked how they treated the hero for this page. I also liked how their article section looks, and then just like a statistical and call out page break in between content here. I like this layout. So, and I thought this was cool, really just from an aesthetic purposes and mainly on the margins. I like the margins, how close it is to the edges. So I'm like, okay, I do want something a little bit wider outside of my norm, because the reason why you want to do that, typically it's like if you're using imagery, you want to let the imagery and the video speak a little bit more. And so de-emphasize text and kind of focus more on imagery or just larger areas. So taking that and applying it to this here. Now this is Equinox and then Lifetime. Equinox does this nice alternating pattern where they start off with a video, then an image, a video, and then an image or a carousel of some sort. Image, carousel. So they have a good pattern here. So this is the inspiration and I just took from this, right? And then what I did was, based off of, what I know from the brand and what we're trying to accomplish, and we get that from the questions that we ask, right? Then I take, we have the journey map here, and then I started with wireframes and then moved right into high fidelity. I actually had created a story for the brand. I asked ChatGPT to basically write a story about the brand, and I gave it all my notes. And then what I also did was, I took notes. So I recorded the meeting, went back and listened to it, then took notes. And then what I also did was I paid for transcripts of the video, and then used my notes plus the transcripts, gave it to ChatGPT and was like, hey, using my notes and the transcript, basically, same thing as you did, organize the notes, but I also want you to write the information architecture and the copy for the website. It's a 1-pager, right? And then I also want you to create a story. And then what I'm doing is I'm using the story to do 2 things. Make sure that the information architecture of the website falls in line with that story, or at least can be truncated. And then 2, using the story for the videos that I'm going to edit and use for the design. So what happens is the design should look something like this. So I'm going to have multiple different cuts of different videos. But this is effectively how the design for the site will look. One pager, you have the floating, you have a chat bot that you can interact with here that will remain at the bottom right, of course, but this is the prototype mode. This is going to be a scrolling marquee, and it's going to be testimonials here. And then whether they could schedule a free consultation here or go through the chat bot, they're going to basically answer the same questions and then schedule their consultation. So I got the structure of the site and the layout. Now the next thing that I'm doing is making sure that the content in each section is appropriate. A lot of this is just kind of faked. It's real stuff, but I just kind of just duplicated in different areas just to fit a layout. So you know, this text is the same as this text. Well, we obviously don't want that. So the next thing is to go through, make sure all the copy is updated, and then finalize the design with him, because he gave some pointers previously. The design of this, I had two options. I had two design options. We picked what we like in both and landed on one. And then we went to see little things. Like I had an all white background instead. And we tested out black. He liked the black better. And it also fits the brand better. So we changed that. So I have a few more updates to make sure the copy is good, make sure each section is right, and then edit the videos so they can have multiple videos similar to what's going on in Equinox. And so this is the design effectively of Access Performance.
So quick question. When you mention, what do you mean by like the information architecture? Because I think you said you wanted to make sure that the information architecture was aligned.
So let's see here. The information architecture essentially is how your site application, how the information is structured, how it's labeled, and how easy it is to navigate to that information.
Okay.
So how easy is it to navigate through your website, through your app? Well, that has to be designed, has to be structured. So what is the basis of the app? What's the goal of the app? Well, we have a website where we have a category of products to sell to people. Okay, let's talk about the type of products you're selling. What are the categories of all products? Well, we got men's, we got women's, and all right, what's underneath men's? All right, well, we got t-shirts, pants, socks, accessories, blah. For women, we got everything that they have, but two more. And so we're categorizing all the pieces of information, right? Organizing it, labeling it, and then we make sure that the site is easy to navigate to find these products. So information architecture focuses on organizing, structuring, and labeling content in an effective and a sustainable way. So it's just basically help users find information and complete their task. What is their task when they come to Nike? Well, the task is for them to buy something. All right, well, let's make it easy for them to buy something.
Okay.
Right. So that's information architecture. And so what comes with that is, well, once you know the journey on somebody discovering you to making a purchase, right? We need to create that flow, but then we need to create a sitemap. And it's a visual representation of the structure of a website or an app. So it shows, okay, what are each pages? All right, so if we look here, we have a main home page. Then in there, we have a navigation of some sort, right? Either that's a header or a side nav. And we have pages that says use cases, companies, products, teams, support, and login. These are the links that we have up there in our main page navigation, right? And then, all right, what's underneath use cases? Well, there's this, and then under e-commerce, we have this. You see, so we're laying out the structure of this website.
Okay.
This is what you would want to create before you design anything.
Okay.
And then wireframes are a part of the information architecture. right? So it's the layout of each page, what's going on, what happens when you click here, do this. How do you know you're on this page, right? This is, there's two types of wireframes. You got low fidelity and then you got high fidelity. Low fidelity, very little text, shapes, grayscale, no color. Wireframes, high fidelity wireframes are as close to the real thing or the real product as possible. So strip out all the color, but all the text that people would see or need to see is there. And it's also devoid of color, usually some sort of grayscale. Now, it could be something that's monochromatic, it's fine, but usually you shouldn't see any photos or color buttons. You shouldn't see any of that in a wireframe typically. So all of this is we're laying out the structure, but you see it's a series of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, of all this stuff isn't always necessary, but I will tell you a sitemap usually is. And what's in the apprentice toolkit is what I think is pretty much important. So this is what we have here, but there are several other activities, but these are the ones that I just think are the best ones. So you got examples of sitemaps right here. Again, the key is just to understand what it's doing. It's just structuring out, laying out the structure of whatever it is you're designing. Don't focus so much on the visual or what it looks like. You can make it look like however the hell you want to, but making sure that the use case of this is structuring out the layout and the content of your app or web solution. So yeah, so that's the design. So not quite 100% done yet, but I got to update the copy, make sure the story is good, and then I'm gonna edit these videos. So these are stock image, stock footage. So I have Adobe Stock, and so you just come here for videos and images based off of the brand, right? So I'm showing you how all this stuff is built. So they started from the conversation. I asked my audit questions, you know, trying to understand the overview of the business, origin story, a little bit of the business, who he is, how would he describe his business, what is the goal, you know, that sort of stuff, right? And then from there, creating an affinity map, definitely a journey map, and then based off of the brand, then I go look for inspiration. All right, what imagery, what video speaks to this brand? So you can go find that at Adobe Stock. You can go to a free place like Pexels. Here you got free image and videos. Obviously, you get what you pay for with everything. So when it comes to free stuff, you get what you get. The styles of the imagery, they can be completely off. So just be careful, make sure that what you're doing fits the theme. You also got to pay attention to whether it's a portrait or landscape. A lot of it's portrait. So just be careful. But that's a free site for imagery and footage and image. Then there's Unsplash. This is probably the most popular one. This is where you get a lot of free high resolution photos. They also have a subscription now too, like Unsplash Plus, but this is another one. And then of course there's a bunch of others that do subscription models too. So I looked for videos, images that I thought fit the aesthetic, and then paid for those. And I'm going to use these in the videos. The goal is once I have my tweaks, 2 options, 3 at the most, honestly. I'll show him my options, we'll approve, make final tweaks, and then it's off to building it out in Squarespace.
And the videos that you're having to buy each individual video to add it to the Squarespace website.
So paying for those videos individually, creating these shots, stitching into one video, and then we're going to use this for this section like this. This is the chatbot portion. So let's do this. All right, let's cut this debug mode off real quick. All right, so when they launch the chatbot on the website, they'll first see this message: welcome to Access Performance. I'm here to guide you on your exciting new fitness journey. We can tweak the language up a little bit. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about Access Performance. Might want to also mention, or, you know, I could schedule an in-person consultation. So that's something I could think about adding in there. But in our case, we're going to run through the happy path. So schedule in-person consultation. So now it's going to ask for full name. All right. What's the best phone number to reach you? So in this case, we're going to ask if we have any past injuries. This is one of the questions that Mike needs to know. All right. I've had a hernia surgery. And it was more than 2 years ago. What specific fitness goals are you looking to achieve? I want to. All right. So in this case, what happens is now they get a link to a Calendly, and I'm not going to click it. But what we're doing here is, so we collected all that preliminary information, schedule a consultation, captured their full name, captured their phone number. And what we're doing is we're opting them in to receive text messages. I'm actually probably going to input a line in there so that way that is known. So they're assured that they're only going to be getting text from Mike, not any mass, nothing. So I need to put that line in there. But what we're doing now is, after we've captured that, he needs to know if you had surgery. If so, list them out. And when did they happen? And then what are your fitness goals? And so those are really the only questions that he asked early on. He usually asks these questions via text message, right? So he'll get, somebody refers him to somebody, or they'll refer his name to somebody else. And then they will shoot over a text to Mike, like, hey, I got your number from somebody. And then he would text back and then call to introduce himself and then ask these questions. And then he'll schedule them within 48 hours of this call because he wants to get them in quick. So, hey, what's your schedule looking like in the next 2 days? They'll say, hey, I can come in tomorrow at such and such, or I can, and then he'll schedule them. And so what we're doing here is we're collecting those same, we're asking those same questions, collecting those answers, and then sending it via Zapier as a text message to Mike. Hey, Mike, you got another potential client on the way. Everett Swain. I collected that. I collected that full name, their goal, right? So Everett is, quote, trying to look like this, trying to lose weight, trying to do whatever, right?
Yeah.
He's had hernia surgery. That's what I said, and I captured it and sent it more than 2 years ago. And you see how that ago got cut off?
Yeah.
So we're using a service called Twilio, and I believe Twilio has a certain character count or a character limit on text messages. I think it's like, it's almost like how they do Twitter, right? It's like, well, used to do Twitter, only 140. I think it was like 200 and something characters, 250 characters as the tier that I'm on. So I may look into that. That's a service thing. So I may look into that and see if I can bump it up to like 400 characters. So that way I can kind of accommodate for, and this is why, like, you don't want to have like people do a long free form. So it's tough when it comes to collecting that. What we could do is just maybe reduce a little bit of the conversation. So instead of the, hey, Mike, you've got another potential client on the way, maybe I can shorten that up, right? Maybe I don't need to say all that. I can just go heads up, and then you got Everett is looking for this. He's had no injuries and he's scheduled, right? So I can change up the language of this a little bit to give us some more characters. All that information is getting sent to Zapier, then sent to Twilio, and then Twilio texts me. For testing purposes, obviously I have my number in there, but when we go into production, we would put his number so that way he gets the text message. So the next session I have with him, I'll show him the automation of this. I will show the design of the new designs of the website. We'll approve the website or make final changes to the website. I'll send him the link. He'll answer the questions, and then we'll test to see it come back to him via text message. Then they will select that day via Calendly. So I use the dummy link there. I put my stuff in there. We'll obviously get him set up, have him create a Calendly account, and then he can go in and schedule his own times. But they'll select that. What we want to then do, they'll select the time. You know how Calendly works. So then they thank you so much for the information, Everett. Mike will be reaching out shortly to introduce himself personally. It was a pleasure. Have a good day. And then the conversation ends. So that they will fill that information out from the website, and then the race is on. So all he just needs just to market his website. And then when people go and click on the call to action on his website, they immediately go through this questionnaire of some sort. They're either going to go through it as a chatbot, or they're just going to go through it as a form. And then they'll get a text message from Mike within 30, 45 minutes, and then a quick phone call. I built in this mechanism where he will get the text message of the information before they schedule. The reason why I did that is because that information is vital. They don't technically have to schedule the consultation right away online. When Mike calls them, he's going to double check to make sure that they are on his schedule. So he can take them over the phone if they didn't go through on the website. Maybe they got interrupted. Maybe, like these are busy people. So maybe they started to schedule or they're like, you know what? I don't have my schedule with me on right now. I'll have my assistant find the best day. And so they may click out of the website, but they're still going to get a call from Mike because I sent all this information to him via text before they get to the part where they have to schedule the time. That's just a part of the design that I wanted to have a fail safe just in case they didn't finish completing scheduling that time. So this works. And then, so that's the happy path. And then what I need from him, I'm actually going to send him an email asking for this information. I need some frequently asked questions that his potential clients and current clients have had. I want to basically create a document of these FAQs, the question and answer. And then I want this chatbot to be able to reference that documentation if anybody selects the option to ask them a question first rather than scheduling an in-person consultation. So if they click ask us anything, well, I want this chatbot to be able to answer the questions based off of the company's data. Like, you want to ask a question about the company? All right, ask us anything. Well, the answers are going to be coming from this document. So I want him to kick it off, give me some examples of his frequently asked questions and then how he answers those. And then we'll build on that. And then I want to input that as an article in his knowledge base. So that way this chatbot can reference that. But in the meantime, the example I have here, I mean, I just have it to where like an LLM model, like ChatGPT, Claude would answer it until I get the frequently asked questions from Mike.
So you're the one that's putting in all of those questions. You're typing it in, and then do you type in the responses as well, or is that automatic?
Great question. So with Voiceflow, if you go from the talk option here, okay, this is static text from the chatbot to the user. That's what this is. If I go to AI and go to response AI, this is dynamic text. So what's the difference? Static text, what you write here is what it's going to say, and it's not going to say anything different. It's going to keep that. It's like hard coding. For response AI, I'm using the model to speak back to the user, or I can use my own data. In this case, I use AI model, and I'm using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. I can use all these different models in here, right? Now you just want to be careful because some of these, this is how much the tokens cost. Each token is a word. So multiply 25 times each word you put in there. That's how much it's going to cost. Fortunately, the better ones, so the best one of GPT is this one here. It's only 6 tokens. This is the cheapest GPT. This is the cheapest Claude. Actually, no, this is the cheapest Claude. The most recent one that came out. These two are the better ones, but you want to use this or a cheaper version. I would say cheaper version of GPT. Here, what I would do is put in, this is where I give it a persona. You are a friendly lead generation chatbot for access performance. Using prompt engineering, we'll get into that. There's a formula that you can use for your system prompts, and then your task, the prompt up here. I'm just gonna give it a little bit of personality. You are casual but professional and have a knack for scheduling in-person consultations. And then what we're going to say here is say hello to a friendly generation chatbot named Eric. Introduce yourself and welcome them to Access Performance. All right. So what I'm telling it, this is what I want you to do. I gave you a direction of who you are, but essentially you're going to create the different way you say that every time. So this is why it'll be dynamic. So we're letting the LLM model come up with new ways to say this. So if we give this a test here, static version, welcome to Access. All right, let's restart it. Welcome to Access. All right, it's the same. But if I come here, hey there, I'm Eric, you're friendly. You see, I didn't write all that.
Yeah.
Right. And now if I want to get a little bit more specific, so this is the role. It's good to do markup. So role and then notes. There's a whole formula. I'll make one available for you.
Prompt engineering, you were talking?
Yeah, exactly. I would say, hey, keep your responses to one short and concise sentence. All right. So then let's test this out now. All right. See, shorten it up.
Yeah.
So this is dynamic. This is using basically conversation design with and training an LLM or using an LLM to perform this task. And the task here is just introduce yourself and welcome them to Access Performance. Then what you want to do is you want to duplicate this if you want to say anything else. You don't want to like jam it all into one block. So, and this separates it. So I say, okay, so now that we introduce yourself and welcome them here, ask them if they had any questions about Access Performance, or if they were ready to schedule a free in-person consultation with a lifestyle specialist, fitness lifestyle specialist. All right, so that's that. So now let's test this out. Okay, hey there, I'm Eric, a friendly chatbot from Access Performance. Welcome. Okay, so we can probably tweak that up. You already said it. How can I assist you today? That could also be just because it's the ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, so the cheapest model. We could test out what the response would be if I chose each model. That's usually how you do like effective testing. So you test all the models and then see which one performs the best. But anyways, so do you have any questions about Access Performance, or would you like to schedule a free in-person consultation with the fitness lifestyle? All right, so let's retest it and see what it does. Hi there, welcome to, okay, so it did, now this response did it how I liked it. Hi there. Welcome to Access Performance. I'm Eric, your friendly lead generation chatbot. How can I assist you today? Boom, right there. Do you have any questions about Access Performance, or would you like to schedule See, so dynamically it's going to change. And so what we want to do is like, okay, now we have to test, all right, out of 10, how close did it get? Like and then this is where these settings come in. So debug mode, you can see how many tokens were used on each call or each block, what model you use, all that. And then you can also have like a confidence score. So how confident was the model that it knew exactly what you were asking for? So it'll calculate that, oh, it's 92%, 0.92 or 88, 80%, 50% confident. So if the less confident it is, that means we need to add more utterances or ways to say that you're trying to do X.
Okay.
So that's what that means.
Are you using dynamic for Access Performance, or are all the ones that you did static?
No, I'm using it for, you see the icons right here. So that's how you know if you're using AI to speak something back to the user. So this is how you know if you're using AI. And then, but if you use your knowledge base, so your own data, then you would see the brain icon here that shows that it's an AI model speaking back, but it's using our data.
Okay.
So yeah, but I have that in. I don't have any static, actually outside of this one, because this is a pretty standard question at this point. Hey, what's your availability looking like in the next 48 hours? So I left that one static, but everything else is dynamic. If you have a form that is pretty rigid, then yeah, use the static. But if you need something to where you want it to feel more like a conversation, well, then use the response AI step.
Okay.
I'm going to ask him to give me that document of FAQs, and then I'm going to input that into the knowledge base. And how you do that is you come here, we go into the designer for Access Performance. And right here under knowledge, this is your knowledge base. So this is where you add the brains into your chatbot. So here you can add data source and you can add plain text. So you can copy and paste right into here, or you can upload a PDF, a text document, Word document. You can add URLs, which is really cool. So you design your website, right? Then you put your website's URL in here. So now the chatbot can reference your website for any answers. All the pages that you wanted to scrape and find information from, you put those URLs here. Same thing with sitemap. This is a little bit different. This is basically, if you know that the website that you're wanting to scrape information from has a lot of pages, and you don't really want to like copy and paste each URL on each page, each click, you can go to sitemap and then basically enter in the website and the sitemap extension into the URL. And what it will do is it'll pull every single page that's associated with that URL. Now, the key is though, depending on which payment plan you pay for, there's certain tiers of how many document sources or knowledge-based sources you can add into this project. So I think it's like, I don't know what the limit is, but I know like on the pro version, I think the limit is like, you can't have more than 200 URLs. You shouldn't really need that much anyways, but you're probably going to be adding more URLs, uploading files. That's what you'll be using. And each file size has a 10 megabyte max. So that's pretty damn good. So this is where you add stuff to the knowledge base. So those FAQs that he's going to give me, I would upload these here. And so that way, when I go back to, I can double click or edit. If I go back to the flow, when I go here to answer a FAQ question, I would then build a flow that first checks the knowledge base. And then if it doesn't answer the question, I can do a check to see if the answer strongly answered his question. And then if not, then I can have another block or another flow that has an LLM double check the answer and then If it's incorrect, answer it the correct way. But that's a longer phased approach. There's a tutorial on the Voiceflow YouTube channel that shows you how to do that. It's pretty cool. I'll send that. So, okay. So yeah, I got some action items, some stuff I'm gonna send you, but you basically organize your notes. So at this point,
I got the persona as well.
You said what now?
I said I also have the user persona.
Okay, so you have a user persona. All right.
Yeah, I just got one.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because that's all I got. So I would say now, like, going to your inspiration phase, you're gonna do your own design of Axis Performance.
Okay.
Based off of what you know on the brand, let's see your vision for Axis Performance.
Okay.
Actually, let's do some wireframes. Okay. Wireframe options for the web design. So you'll need to have created a sitemap. Actually, it's not really a sitemap. This one is a one pager, but really your sitemap can be now organizing the structure of your homepage. That's basically what you're going to be doing. We do not want to link out to any other pages like articles, about us. It's a one pager, so we want to keep it all there. But the main action is for them to either interact with that chatbot, or a call to action that's a link to a form. So knowing those things, come up with, let's practice. It's going to have us to practice in 3. So let's do 3 different one-page layouts, wireframes for Axis Performance. They could be low fidelity, they can be high fidelity, but just layouts.